Hi, have you heard about Bitcoin? Not Bitcoin, but Bipcoin. Bravo, India, Papa, Coin. Bipcoin is a new cryptocurrency that you can start mining today for free on ordinary computers. Unlike most altcoins, Bipcoin is not a clone of Bitcoin. Bipcoin is based on entirely new, more recent, and better code called CryptoNote. So unlike Bitcoin, Bipcoin has truly untraceable transactions, does not require specialized mining rigs, and has adaptive limits. Plus, Bipcoin is the only cryptocurrency covered by the BIPCOT No Government License. This allows use and reuse by anyone except governments and government agents. If you're still kicking yourself in the head for not getting in on the ground floor of Bitcoin, start mining, using, and trading Bipcoin today.
Not a guarantee.
Mining Bipcoin costs you nothing but the electricity to run your computer. And we already take Bipcoin for stickers and buttons. Go to bipcoin.org. That's bipcoin.org. Once again, that's Bravo, India, Papa, coin.org.
If you voted for Hillary, you are the pride of humanity. If you voted for Trump, you are the 1830s reincarnate. If you voted for third party, you are actively helping slavery. If you didn't vote, you are passively helping slavery. So let's assume that you know what's going on. If democracy yields these kinds of results, why in the hell would you use democracy to solve these kinds of problems anyway? Imagine if you just started there and maybe you wouldn't be freaking out so much.
It is slavery, it's just a different name. A lot of people don't realize what it is. And when we bring these ideas to light and make people realize, that this government force is the problem.
And to me, it's like I say, imagine you're an abolitionist in the 19th century, and these slave masters are giving you the same exact argument. Who's going to pick the cotton?
Hey, Seeds of Liberty, read the show's description, please. Fervently complete the course, report him to the infantry. Finish him, deconstruct the fallacy. Seasonal production means it seems to spawn a tragedy. Peep the action, please, a fraction of the allegory. Corollary cadences, complaining on a sadder story. Menial, recently reading into the thesis here. Mirroring the people who completely fail to see it though. Seeing is believing, yes, the reason is...
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seeds of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 83. As always, the Seeds of Liberty podcast is covered by a BIPCOT No Government License. This allows reuse by anyone except governments and the agents thereof. You can find out more information about this at bipcot.org. So this week, we have our friend and returning guest, Donnie Gebert, back. It's been a while since we talked to him, but it's always good to have him on. Donnie, how the heck are you, my friend?
All right. I'm not going to lie. The last couple times we were on, I had no idea what the BIPCOT the BIPCOT No Government License was. I didn't realize it was slut shaming. I would have appreciated it more.
Oh.
So I got bored the one day and I was like, okay, I've heard this like 85 times. I have to go look it up, and I almost pissed myself laughing.
Yeah, it is. I think it is a stroke of genius. It was Michael W. Dean and a couple other people. I keep forgetting. I think Darryl W. Perry was actually involved to a small extent, but they basically took the Creative Commons license and turned it on its head, and and said, "Listen, we want to allow this for everybody to use except government. So how do we do that? Well, we can't enforce it, so we'll just make it possible to publicly shame anybody." Who violates the terms of these licenses. And I actually have put it to use multiple times. There was a couple of cops that I have called out repeatedly on multiple shows, including on nationally syndicated radio, which is always fun. And I think it works wonders. It's great, and it's basically just it's one of those attention grabbers, because like you, most people are like, what the heck is this thing? So if they bother to go look into it and see what it is, they may get the joke right away, or they may have more questions. To me, it's also basically a finger in the face of IP. That whole idea too. Just like, I'm BIPCOTting this, so anybody can use. I'm open sourcing all my crap essentially, except for government agents. So
I could see that.
Yeah. So it's a wonderful thing. I'm a huge fan. We've been covering the show with it forever now, I guess, and I pretty much cover everything I do with it. So anyway,
at heart, I'm a juvenile So anytime we could liken anything to prostitution, I just start giggling like a 10-year-old who just first heard the word dildo. Like,
I get that. I have that. I have that affliction too. So Anyway, so I think. Well, Dave, did you want to start off with something, or are we taking care of that now, or did you actually?
Well, I mean, I'm just glad we have the great Don Gebert here. He's one of my Facebook heroes, IRL heroes out there. He got out of the military and is using some of his time to spread the message of liberty. And in my book, that gets you a gold star.
I try. I have spawned a couple that are still in, and I have spawned a couple that have already gone out. People looking at the job a little differently. There's still a realistic view of a military, or at least some kind of resistance, to protect people. To think you can get rid of the military entirely, I think is a little. I think we're about 5,000 years short of that, but.
Well,
realistically, just
some
moving forward,
show
having
of force,
skepticism.
I agree.
I just don't think there's a lot of military skepticism. Especially the military people are the ones should have that the most, as just a tool of self-restraint.
All the guys I know that are active right now, that will talk to me, tell me that what we talk about on our podcast, they all talk about in some way, shape, form, or fashion. They're all like, "Hey, this is kind of bullshit." While we're none of this makes sense. So he was like, even your staff sergeant, your CO, when everyone's like scratching their head about something, the wheels are about to come off of the the proverbial track.
I would hope so, but. That sometimes that disheartens me because it's like, well, if all these people are already asking questions and going, "Hey, something's not right," and they're still going through with it. Wait a minute, why are you not stopping? That's not cool.
Well, if you don't know, what do you do really?
Oh no, I'm just
when you question something unless you come up with a real good reason to change your mind, you don't. You'll be confused about it, but you'll go with your initial instinct anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I guess it's how many of these conversations are they having? Because we have another friend, our buddy Dylan Robinson, who just recently got out, and he talks about the fact that he sat around even before he came an anarchist and had certain conversations, philosophical conversations and stuff with other people, because you're just sitting around and you're like, wait a minute, why do we do these things? Like, what's going on here? And so there is enough. I just wish more people, but that's why I said it from the beginning, because when we first met you were still in, right? And then you talked about the fact that you at that point you could have easily just gotten out. Well, not easily, but pretty much gotten out when you wanted to. But you figured you would just finish off, because what's the best thing you could do at that time? Try to influence as many people as possible, which is what you did, which was awesome. Dylan the same way. He did the same thing on his way out. He was influencing people left and right. I mean, he's the one who did the video that ended up on World Star, hip hop. Or whatever that.
I did not see that.
Oh, it was.
You'll have to link that to me later.
Yeah, I'm sure we could track it down. It was about military suicides, and he. It went crazy. It had like 400, 500.
Andre's another guy too.
Yeah, Andre Kira.
He's been really outspoken, and he's been really writing some good stuff lately as well.
Yeah, he's writing a lot of articles, and then he's trying to write libertarian sci-fi. We had him on the show a month or so ago. He was talking about that. But yeah, another one who's really good at breaking things down because he was in there and he understands. But we've talked about that with you before. That was one of the episodes we had with you, is where you specifically talked about not only how to talk to members of the military about these ideas, but also why somebody like you has a huge
that episode
advantage.
Is what he heard.
Well, that's what
Dylan
he heard.
I believe
that's what Dylan heard. Yeah, that was the episode that changed Dylan's mind. You essentially were Dylan's red pill. You were the final push that he needed.
Ooh.
So
I believe Dylan and Andre.
That's possible too. I know for a fact Dylan, because Dylan's spoken about it on on our show and also on other shows that we had him on one of our shows, but and it's stuff that he's been on.
It was a Christmas show, or
he's talked about he's talked about it publicly, that he was on his way there and then he got scared off by by the assholes he came across in the libertarian and anarchist communities.
He
right
came
off the
across
bat.
Mac and the troops of welfare hordes.
Yeah,
And all that.
calling everybody wealthy and stuff like that. Well, not wealthy, all the welfare whore and all these things. And he got turned off by that and was headed back in the other direction until he stumbled upon. That was the very first episode of The Seeds he ever heard. He just happened to stumble across it, and it was you, and he was like, "Holy shit!" And he made another about face and went and headed in that direction and hasn't stopped, which is awesome. So.
And, I think that's the fundamental difference. You could call it a bias because I was military, not a cop, but I think it's a fundamental difference between the military and a cop. The people who join the military are not attracted to it for anything other than a protective stance. You don't think you're going to get caught up in an invasion, really, per se. It's not. When you're signing papers, you're thinking of other things. You're not thinking of what would happen if I ended up in an invasion situation. You think you're going to be defending. So it just, and then the way they train you, they want you really more obedient than they want you aggressive. I would much rather have a dog that doesn't eat, red meat and gunpowder every day, but it listens to me. Whereas the cops, they kind of feed them red meat and gunpowder.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that assessment. They definitely do hype the cops up more and make them. Yeah, they take
those people who have the same baseline, I think I'm going to defend other people impulse, but they feed it a cocktail that turns metastasizes it.
Is your average police department as top down as your average armed forces platoon or whatnot, or regiment? I would wager no. I would wager that just your everyday cop has a lot more say so in what goes down in his day-to-day operations than
Oh, absolutely.
Your E1 or E2.
Well, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he probably has close to just as big a chain of command, because there's administrative
No, it's a lot
BS.
shorter.
I don't know about that, man.
Shorter.
There's a lot of BS positions in the police forces now that kind of go up the chain of command. That before you get to the final chief or whatever the hell they are, whoever's in charge of all that all the corruption and garbage and.
Mm. Well, okay, in a major metro area, it would probably be about the same. But,
talk about biases. I live right outside New York City, so obviously my mind immediately goes to there every time.
There you go. Yep.
That's what I think of, because that's the friends I have.
The NYPD is the size of a military division if you add all the reserves.
And they act like one in a lot of respects. That's funny. I had some conservative that I kind of forgot was still on my friends list that I knew years ago. And today he was talking about the NYPD protecting Trump's tower and stuff, and and trying to rally his little troops up to call these leftist domestic terrorists, because they've been labeled as domestic terrorists before. I'm like, dude, where I live. I'm like, the NYP is the largest terrorist organization involved in this whole little thing right here, man. Are you kidding me? I'm like, those motherfuckers are dangerous. I'm like, know your enemy, man.
They are the largest police department in the world.
Screw these leftists that are talking a big game, and yes, are gonna some of the real agitators are gonna riot and unfortunately cause damage in certain areas, but they're not going to do anywhere near the amount of damage and steal nearly the amount of money and just inflict the overwhelming amount of just pure evil and ass-hattery and assholery as the NYPD is going to do. So while I take issue with these idiot protesters that are just out of their effing minds, and I do laugh at them a little bit. I really wish people would keep the focus on who the real freaking problem is here.
Yep, this is a classic. If anything is ever going to sink into people, that ideas are essentially shit. They're worthless. It doesn't matter what your idea is. How you're going to bring that idea to table is going to have far more of an effect on how it's perceived and how effective it ends up being than your idea.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. No, it's never going to change. So until we start accepting that you can't beat people's skulls in to save them or get them to learn, then forget it. It will continue.
Yes. the idiocy will continue until morale improves, I guess.
It does suck, right? It's like if I could only just force everyone to just read this book and really understand it and pass this test, then we could go from there. But no, that's not how it works, man.
Yeah, I was telling you guys before, I was kind of hoping that there would be one tear shed during her concession speech, and that someone would come by with a hanky and get that one tear, because it would be the most valuable substance on Earth, and we could shift over to a Hillary tier-based economy, and that would be the thing. That would be the $1 trillion coin in the Hillary-based tier economy. Because entirely too many
we just all get
people
Hillary
would
tier
back
certificates.
People would happily trade in their gold for
people
just a piece of
people
Hillary's
sell their
tier.
people would sell their children for that. Some of these crazy bastards out there that are so excited about this. And again, this is
And
not
ironically, Hillary would cry more to buy them. Inflation
shit.
and horror at the same time.
Oh, me.
Yeah.
Hillary's in there
She's
cutting
literally
onions.
printing the currency into existence to spend it.
Yeah.
Even her autonomous reflexes are a goddamn government project.
I don't obviously I don't feel badly for her, but anything, her I'm sure she was shocked that she didn't get what she thought she was gonna, what she thought she was handed to her, but I'm sure she'll be just fine, because as it appears, at least already, the old Donald is backtracking on his threat to have her investigated. I mean, I know because he doesn't have to be nice to her in that concession speech, or in the after her concession speech. He doesn't have to,
Especially if she just backs down and goes away and never shows her face again, essentially.
Yeah, well, as you've discussed, Dave, she's already got quite a bit of money that's been shifted to Qatar.
Well, supposedly, there's always
allegedly,
that big supposedly. In there.
Sorry,
Yeah.
allegedly, there's been a whole bucket of money allegedly shifted, and that's well within the 1.8 billion number, as far as I've seen from other numbers, is well within within reason for the Clinton Foundation to have to shift around. So,
yeah,
the Clintons are
that's
gone.
peanuts to the Clinton Foundation.
They are gone. They are going to leave. They have enough friends overseas.
I think they're going to go to jail. I know that.
I don't.
Nope, they're going to leave. They're going to be gone before then. They'll be in a country that you would have to start a war with to get them out. They are gone. They are gone. Let them go.
That's some real comic book level shit, man. I maybe
who's going to arrest them though? I mean, come on.
Maybe.
Just about every
the
administration.
Russians could shoot that bitch down the minute they saw her get on a plane from one of their satellites.
Why?
Yeah, because
Russians concerned. Listen, Vladimir Putin was out like as soon as the cameras would accept a post Trump victory speech. Vladimir Putin was like, "Hey, let's be friends again. Let's not have problems." The very first moment that he could. So why is he going to shoot down Hillary Clinton's plane when it would send half the population into a hysterical frenzy?
Yeah, exactly.
He will just let that shit go.
We're talking if she tries to leave. If she tries to leave on war criminal charges.
Do you think she's actually? Do you actually think she's going to have those? Like, who else has had these actual charges?
I think the WikiLeaks are going to keep coming out, man. Julian Assange says 10 weeks of leaks.
Okay, but
they're going to keep coming.
And let's just say, I hope it ends up being like Kennedy, where you don't find out the truth until after all the people are dead, because the solution that you're talking about to the problem is worse than the problem. The solution of hunting down Clintons is far, far worse than just letting them go.
Yeah, and plus, I don't even see it coming to that, because regardless of what Assange still may have up his sleeve that may personally hurt her, the two of them are still so well connected through the power elite and everything. And whether they're going to get, whether they got kind of shoved out at the end, or they're just going to be allowed to, go off into the sunset quietly.
There's no use to them anymore.
She wasn't going to, she had so much more power as Secretary of State than she would have had as president. Because the executive branch has the power in that setup, but the president themselves does not. I mean, there's that famous line from Truman when he talked about what Eisenhower should get ready to expect when he took the office after having been a general and having people like just snap to everything, every command he ever uttered.
She had to be so greedy. Think about it. She could have said, "Bernie, look, I'll let you be the candidate.
Again,
you let me be VP. Let's roll that out." And then she could have just paid someone to whack Bernie and been stepped into president. Like.
No,
that would have been a bona fide win.
Okay, again, you're taking like all these extra steps to do that. No, that doesn't make any sense either.
Hey,
I'm telling you, she fucked up in that regard.
Hey, about a month ago, there was a guy, and he's one of those weird guys that was in the computer, like John McAfee. Like, he was one of the founders of some shit that people don't talk about very much. I know McAfee was antivirus, so he's a little more popular. But there were a whole bunch of other people doing other things in the computer front that you and I are probably not directly aware of. Well, this guy, he does deep dives into like the Google server query base. And he looks for keywords, and then he looks for other words that will place those keywords in context. Mm-hmm. And he puts out a newsletter that's like $8 a week. Okay? I mean, seriously, it's not expensive. It's not this high-priced product. And even if you paid him more, look at what his baseline service is. It's $8. I highly doubt you can ask him for something, and he's just like, well, I want to keep a child for that. Like, mm-hmm. He's reasonable, right? And he's reasonable because he tells you this doesn't predict the future. It gives you an idea for the next 7 days what someone is approximately thinking about. And he was saying that the everything was going Trump for months now. That this was the basis, the intelligent baseline argument against like the polling fraud, where they were oversampling Democrats by +8, +12 mm-hmm. to make it seem like Hillary was ahead.
Yeah.
And literally, this has been going on for months. So get this. Do you think for 1 minute that Donnie Giebert, living in fucking Pflugerville, Texas, not running for president and not particularly giving a shit, comes across this detail that there's a guy who looks in Google for patterns and looks at humanity like it's a hive mind and kind of gets a feeling for its mood, right? Mm-hmm. You think Donald Trump didn't know about that for 1 minute? Because that seems a little weird to me.
His entire platform was researched.
Exactly. He's paying a bunch of people a bunch of money to do research. There's a good chance that they found this thing that little old Donnie found, right? Now, contrast that with what the DNC was doing. They were paying homeless people to pick fights. Want to talk about meet the Flintstones? Like, what kind of strategy is this? These people are running around in flying cars, and you're still trying to figure out the wheel.
The WikiLeaks comes out, says Hillary has bad judgment skills. I mean, this is Occam's razor. She's just dumb. She's just an idiot.
Listen, how old is Hillary?
70 now, I guess.
70.
When one of our grandparents has really great judgment skills, it's like one of those things. Like, yeah, she's 75 and smart as a whip, right? Yeah. But everybody else expects the old people to just start kind of, hanging out, drooling, not giving a shit, loving the grandkids, but, you don't expect much out of them.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of the expectation. Hillary is a grandmother, not like, hey, look, she had a kid early and her kid had a kid early, and there's only, 40 years between them. She's 70, and her first grandchild is still in diapers. So she's not that swift. Well, she's probably on a med cocktail that would cremate any of us.
I'd like to give it a run. Bet
me.
But
oh my God.
Bet me.
Jeremy wants to give Hillary's daily dose a run. I don't think so, bud.
Hey man, you only live once, right?
That is a YOLO definition to the T, bud.
Exactly. I mean, she may very well be pretty dumb. I think she's at least. I mean, she's well groomed because she's been at this for a while, but she seems a little more perceptive than some of the other idiots they've trotted out there in years past. Like she actually seems. I mean, she also seems like pure evil.
She's cunning.
Yeah,
imagine.
That's a good word. So but that's a good word for it. But
every ethic you and I would refer to, if you really kind of do it in a reductionist way, and you look back at it, it essentially comes back to compassion.
Yeah,
that's kind of how we think. Well, if you replace that foundation of compassion with cunning, murder becomes lunch. You're eliminating competition. Lying is cunning. It's getting around the others.
Lizards.
Stealing is I'm reallocating resources to me because welcome to the jungle.
You're talking about the reptile brain, man. That's all. That's it.
I understand that, but what if somebody chose that ethic instead of saying I want to be compassionate because I recognize this to be better for everyone involved? What if you wanted to just say I want to have a baseline ethic of cunning, and I want murder to be like lunch?
There are people like Justin Bieber out there, Donnie, that know their music sucks, but
Bieber
keep putting it out
Bieber
because
doesn't
they
know
have the
murder.
cunning and I guess the ability to. Just like Nickelback or your favorite band, whatever.
What if Nickelback is your favorite band?
KYS, kill yourself.
Oof. Jesus, we were talking about politics, particularly Clinton politics, and somehow, Dave, you managed to drag that conversation shittier. I don't know how you did it. It started with Bieber, and then it was Nickelback, and
With one of his...
ugh.
Well, see, and
I
actually,
feel dirty.
this was better than usual, because normally it's a ham-fisted segue that gets us here. He kind of glided into this one quite nicely, actually. I'm kind of impressed.
Yeah. I'm working
Meanwhile,
on it.
behind my zipper.
Yeah, kind of
Oh,
like that.
boy.
Well, anyway, to get back to what we were talking about before, I mean, yeah, I still don't see her going down. I don't see them going down. I still see them as being too well connected, and you could say they're no use, but she's been used for long enough, and those people don't ever really go away. And they will, and even if she has to go to another country or something, they've got all that money. They'll be fine. If some private investigation wants to go after that, somebody who wants to spend money privately to try to go after them, I mean, I guess that could be a possibility.
Obama's got drones all over the world blowing motherfuckers up, and Trump's not going to do the same shit to Hillary.
No, because the skeletons that will actually finally come to the surface, if she has to go to trial, and all of this stuff gets scrutinized, there are going to be so many other people, so many other power players, so many of the other power elite in Washington right now that will be dragged into this. None of them want this shit going public.
Exactly.
Most of
So
them
it's
are
not
more
going to
likely than
happen.
not shitting their pants as it is, but because the emails are public. But it's
That's
not
good,
going
but
to
I'm just
happen.
telling you, they're going to drag this investigation out so long that at least one Clinton is dead. And I don't mean somebody killed them. I mean they expired of old age. Forget
They just
it.
died.
Yep.
Listen, it's going to drag out. Okay, so here's the thing. If somebody's going to get fired over it, then the decision will be made who's going to get fired and mistakes will be made. At worst. Okay? At best, one of the Clintons dies before they get to something good.
Are you putting this
And
into
then
perspective
maybe.
with all this kitty,
Yep.
child? You're putting all that into perspective. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I just see
they're going to drag
RICO
it out,
charges.
and drag it out, and drag
I
it
see
out,
RICO
drag
charges
it out.
getting slapped on a
Files
lot
will
of people,
be-
man.
Things are going to get misplaced. People are
If it can
going
be
to
contained, if it
disappear.
could be contained to a portion of just the DNC in some way, then yes.
Yep, they're going to cut.
But it
they're
won't.
gonna cut
But
them.
they will not. There's people on every side in every government like that are connected in some way because they
Judges,
have been
generals, all of
exactly,
them.
and
Right.
because they've been
Right.
in for so long, they've been embedded in the system.
Jeremy, how much money do you make a year? Ballpark it. It doesn't have to be just anything. Pick a number.
Oh, I used to make, like 60, 70K a year, but then, I had to give up my business government, which is why I haven't, donated to you recently.
So I'm in the same boat. So when I say that neither one of us has a concept of what real money is like,
Yes.
I just mean that we don't really understand it, right?
Yes.
There's going to be a cutoff here where everybody below the line is going to burn, but they're going to be taken care of. Their families will be taken care of, and they're just going to do their time, and they're going to keep their mouth shut, and that will be that because they're going to be taken care of. It's much easier to just buy these people off and say, okay, you're going to do 4 years if you take a plea. So they're going to take the plea for 4 years. While they're in, they're going to be making $1 million a year. To you and I, this is chump change. But to most people, $1 million a year for 4 years is worth a prison sentence. They go, they do their time, they get out early for time served. They still get paid the $4 million, and it goes away. Enough people burn that everybody forgets about who should have burned as opposed to why they burned. You know what I mean? And it will just be 3-card Monty until it's over, and then people forget, and then we move on. And then documents come out after everybody's dead. You're gonna find out that the people who killed JFK are still alive today. But when they die, those documents will come out 10, 12 years later, and then it'll be like, oh, Jesus, this guy was alive the whole time.
Yeah.
And that'll be the Clintons. It'll just be 30 years longer than the JFK dump.
Quite possible. But
I'm not sure I buy your assessment of the situation completely, Don, on this one, but that has been
okay. But just
par for course.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing, because I was going to say, look at the history. Look at how many legitimate scandals, legitimate things that had it happened to any one of us under the law, we would have gone to jail. There wouldn't have been any getting out for us. We would have been, these things have been happening forever in this system.
Does the mantra
of
national security fly anywhere in a FISA court?
Well,
does that work? Because it's a classified court, and you'll just get a decision on something, and one of those decisions will be to not release certain documents under the guise of national security, because if the people found out, they would riot. So now it is a matter of national security. Now, granted, they're rioting now, right? Why would you ask for something like this? Because you wanted to respect a FOIA. You wouldn't. It would be gone.
Well,
Gone
that's the thing. They can't FOIA because of
gone.
these. They can't skate the FOIA because WikiLeaks is being the FOIA.
Sure, but not everybody's going to dump. I mean, nobody's dumped the JFK documents, right?
I don't think anybody has them.
Years.
Yeah, but
those are probably on paper, bud.
Yeah, that unfortunately
but
was.
They're all scanned into an archive now.
Well, now yes, but this was a little different. This is in the age of email and cyber warfare, where people and hackers, where somebody just hacked in and literally stole it without having to go get the physical copies. This is much easier to do. It makes a lot.
Sure. Okay.
It makes a lot more sense that this happened now. But again, it's only going to be people who actually read all the way through these things, and there is so much stuff. I mean, I've come across a couple people who tried to read, just spent days reading this stuff, and they're slowly starting to go insane because there's just so much information.
You understand that's one of the tactics to prevent you from figuring out what's going on, right? You produce a volume that's very difficult to go through as one of your precautions. It's why the NSA classifies their lunch menu. Because if you're trying to decrypt documents and you spend a lot of computer power time brute forcing through encryption, and you find out what people were eating 9 months ago in the cafeteria, you've wasted a bunch of time.
Oh, of course.
You found the needle in the haystack. Oh, but we're on to 20 haystacks ahead here. Yeah.
Oh, I'm talking about you look in the haystack for a needle and you find hay.
Yeah.
After a whole lot of effort, you found hay.
Yeah.
Very specific hay. Not all the hay you moved out of the way to get to the hay. You found hay.
Behind this hay is more hay. Yeah. So no, I know, I understand. Yeah, of course, I understand that, and that's why there is so much. But it's not even talking about the content of these emails, just the amount of emails that they have. I mean, what is it 33,000, 50,000? How many are there? I've
64,000. I think
there was an episode of.
Okay, so here's the thing. Think about this stuff.
I can't remember.
I send you an email asking you what beer you want for Friday night. You send me an email back with the name of the beer. I send out to you, can you bring chips? You send that back, right? That's 4 emails.
Oh, no, I understand.
So if you're wondering where these things go thousands of thousands, it's because a group email with 25 people and it gets passed around 100 times.
Of course, but there's still a lot, a lot to sift through. I mean, what was it? There was the...
Not really. You just got to find the bottom one. In that whole stack of the conversation, you find that one relevant email at the bottom of that stack, and you read the whole thing top to bottom.
Well, again...
technically, yeah, but that's still a lot of searching and...
Well, there was the episode of
the way they're doing it is keyword. It'll be pretty efficient. I understand there's
here's the problem,
numbers.
right? here's the thing, right, Donnie? Like, the government's had all these emails for a while, and there's so many of them. Like, it's taken them a while to sit there and go through each one. They, have to set up teams, and they have to keep all the information compartmentalized and all that.
Or did they intentionally drag?
Oh, of course, they may be dragging their feet on this one, of course, but once the public gets this information, like, for instance, like, once Reddit got the Podesta emails, 2 or 3 hours later, everyone's read every email, or at least the ones that matter. Like, because 200,000 people are looking through the emails instead of 16 guys in a FBI
but here's
investigation corner,
Here's the clincher. That just started. And nobody could intelligently expect the FBI to have any kind of investigation with even preliminary results done by the election on the Podesta stuff. However, the other stuff has been around for 2 years. They were dragging it out so that by the time the decision was made, even then they could go back and make it look legit again. Like, oh yeah, we had a second look and still found nothing. And that whole thing, that was high drama, right? High drama kept everybody involved, kept everybody captivated, and part of the overall strategy is the captivation. And then they take it off the table. I'll tell you straight up, Comey is wrong. I still have a clearance. I had a clearance since 1995, and it doesn't expire until 2018, and I think it lapsed for like a year, but I got it back. So I know for a fact, there's no question, it's not an opinion. She was violating classified. Should she go to jail? I don't think so, but then again, all of the other people that are in jail for doing the same thing, they shouldn't be there. That's the real problem. The problem is that she's above it. It's not that she did X. You can make the national security argument, and you would have to prove that somebody died, which would be a big deal, and they're not going to do that. Honestly, the reason they let Hillary go is because how many people did she send emails to? When you find out the list of people who had it go onto their computer and then they forwarded it, all of those people get hemmed up. I bet you see the president, the Joint Chiefs, like everybody gets pulled into this thing, and it's way too big of a deal. It just destroys too many people. It's done.
Yeah.
Like it would be worse than the Trump election.
Yeah. Well, that's.
I think it's going to happen, Don. It might.
We'll see.
Well, like I said, man, I think for
those emails, no, that whole thing is dead. It's dead and buried. Too many people would burn for that.
Well, that's what I'm talking.
That's dead, buried.
That's what I was talking about before. That's why I don't think she's actually going to go down for this, unfortunately. More. Nope. I mean,
I might go down for the other stuff.
I'd love to see the witch burn. Believe me, I'd love to. I have said for the longest time.
I'm in the hopeful camp.
I thought,
Jeremy.
I think she's the devil incarnate. I hated her back in the 90s when I was a stupid, useful idiot liberal and thought Bill was the coolest thing in the world. I still couldn't stand her, and I just didn't know what it was. There was just something about her that irked the fuck out of me and scared me a little bit. And I'm like, this woman is just
she
bad,
tried to
bad
she tried to
news.
get Doom banned.
No
she tried to get the video game Doom banned.
Well, no bias too violent. Huh,
oh no, I'm completely biased against this evil fucking cunt. She is a nasty, nasty piece of work.
See you now.
I'm just down to let's have the one discussion to make it clear and simple and unemotional. If you think Hillary wants to go to war and you think Hillary lies, then you can't even trust why you hate her for wanting to go to war. But it doesn't matter. You can't trust her at all, and that's it. Nothing personal. It's pretty obvious that you are shady as fuck, and that's it. And all of the other arguments just incite the leftists. It literally has them out in the street burning shit. So it's like, there you go. Here's the common sense talk. You cannot trust this person.
I don't
think Hillary goes down for the kitty porn ring, but I think she does get caught up in the Clinton thing. I don't know about Bill. Honest to God, and I hope everybody takes this the right way. I hope that there is a picture of Bill Clinton with his dick and a kid, because unless it's that obvious, I don't think people are going to get it. I don't think people will understand. It'll all be conjecture. It'll all be
That's what I've been reading.
People. And so
that's been the defense already. That's been the people that were planning to vote, that were voting for her or still did vote for her, and were given given that
Right.
information from WikiLeaks, that was their immediate defense. Oh, immediately. Oh, this is just BS, or this is some attack job, or
Well, it's like this.
we don't really have any evidence. This is all just hearsay. Like stuff like that.
Well-
so like that, they're already in that mode.
Well, and
Whatever
also it's like
comes up,
this. You read on a sheet of paper 100 people murdered in Venezuela today, but if you had video of some dude murdering 100 people, it would be the most viral thing on the planet. You know what I'm saying? So that.
Well,
I
exactly.
get what Don's
video.
saying. If there's some kind of hard evidence like this, yeah, the whole thing goes down.
Right. As long as it's solid, as long as when people look at it, they go, "Oh, thank God we were wrong. Thank God we were wrong." That's all I'm hoping for. That's it. And I hope it doesn't involve harmed children, but whatever comes out needs to be so overt, so blatantly obvious that the people who are rioting in the streets right now are all over Facebook going live apologizing for their hysterics.
Well, nobody's going to
so glad that they were wrong. That's it. That will be a binding moment where maybe there'll be fewer riots.
I don't see that happening, though. I don't see, unfortunately. I mean, whether that information comes out or not, I don't know. But even if it does, I don't see a lot of apologies.
Like, I was never supporting her. I always knew they were bad. I was never.
How often do people, especially in the political realm, how often do people admit that they were wrong and do so like publicly, or do they just if they do it they just quietly slink away? Like it doesn't really happen that often. Most people are so invested in these beliefs and they get reinforced by the biased media or whatever that they choose to take in, and it just keeps building, and then eventually they are so stuck with this idea that it's almost impossible for them to shake on any level. So
It's becoming more prevalent.
Yeah.
People are doing that more often than they used to, and that's a good sign. But beyond that, you just got to hope. I'm throwing unabashed hope at this one, and I hope the evidence is overt and blatant and undeniable. And it will be a good thing for everybody to see that, okay, maybe the people saw these other people aren't crazy, aren't stupid, aren't racist, aren't misogynist. Maybe they saw something we did, and maybe it's not as bad as let's go burn some buses. Like maybe let's hope.
Oh no, you would hope that people would at least realize at least their part in it, even if they don't want to admit it. at least have that recognition, sure. But it gets played on both sides too. That's the unfortunate thing. I mean, these people are a tad bit more violent at the present moment, but the people get
their jimmies are all rustled.
Yeah, but everybody gets so invested in their biases with this stuff, and it's hard to admit. I know I've been there plenty of times where you don't want to admit that you are.
Oh,
like,
dude, I remember when
crap,
Obama got elected. I had people calling me crying, like legitimately crying, like I can't believe he got elected. So I mean I understand people get upset.
It's fight or flight for them. Honestly, they've been looking. People seem to think that they know. If you ask them straight up, do you think a worldview through a keyhole is a good idea? Every single person you talk to will say, no, this is a terrible plan.
Sure.
But then you get a 50-inch keyhole in front of them with 1080p, and all of a sudden it's not a keyhole anymore. It's reality, up live and close. Like, none of these people know Hillary Clinton. It's a name and some bag of meat walking around somewhere else in a pantsuit. You don't know this person. You only know what the television told you. Well, if the television lied to you, you are literally in the middle of a self-reinforcing mass delusion. But people don't think about it like that. They get involved, and then the buses are burning, and the weeping and the gnashing of teeth.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because they believe a distorted view of reality, and when it doesn't parse out like they believe it's going to parse out, it's like, what the fuck? This wasn't even a possibility to happen.
We do it too. How do you? What the news tells you.
Yes.
The Dow Jones is today. Whether gold went up or Bitcoin went down, you don't know. You're not there. But a lot of people seem to forget that. They don't look for 2 or 3 sources just to double check to make sure that you didn't find that place on the internet that was just wrong.
No, yeah. Well, yeah. Well,
I
everybody. Well, most people fall. I'm guilty of it. You fall into your bias.
It's simple.
You fall into your bias. But it's my worry, of course, always is, even if it does come out, the sentiment for statism at the current moment is still powerful enough with the people like that. Like, they're apparently not ready to give up on government. Although I'll put the Calexit talk to the side for a second, because I don't even want to get into that, but I don't believe them any more than I believed all the other secessionist groups that claimed they were leaving after 2008. But you know, these people, you know, because of the current culture and because of the political landscape, if it does turn around that this stuff comes out and this does go to trial, which, again, like I said, because of all the people connected, I don't see that happening. I see a lot of people wanting to shut this down. But let's say it does. How many people are going to recognize the level of corruption here and recognize the level of depravity if it goes the route of all the allegations about the kiddie porn thing and not kiddie porn, like the kiddie stuff, all be true? Like, even if it gets to that level, how many people are going to recognize that this and all the other stuff that comes out is not just, you know, contained to this little group? Maybe the kiddie stuff, the kiddie sex stuff is, but everything else is like rampant everywhere else. Or how many people are going to be easily swayed, because once it gets to that level, all the other people in power on the quote unquote other side are going to be rushing to condemn them and rushing to protect themselves and rushing to create new legislation to supposedly prevent this stuff, to keep the control, and then people will just get swept up and say the system worked. Yay. Now we don't have to worry about it again. That was my fear with this whole election thing, when so many people so many anarchists are happy that Trump won. Now, if you're just happy that Trump won because you literally hate Hillary that effing much, like, if that is your reason, like, for me, like, that's the only reason I prefer Trump to Hillary, because I really hated that woman that much.
I preferred anyone over Hillary, to be honest with you.
But if that's your if that's your reason, fine. But if it's for, like, the policy stuff and things that you're really going to be different, I really think you're in for a rude awakening. But the people that are on that side are going to want to keep power, so they're going to make it look like they did good, so that all the people continue to embrace that power.
Well, yeah, I was talking about it a little bit yesterday, about how the government has to always keep this air of legitimacy, because if that goes, so goes it. So the individuals who claim to be and act as if they are government, the main thing that they're worried about is never letting that curtain fall down and Oz getting showed. You know, the man behind the curtain. Like, that's their goal.
Well, exactly. And
as long as we can keep the curtain up and Toto away, we're good.
And here's where I'm going to go against both of your premises, Jeremy, which rarely happens between us. 49 and change percent didn't vote at all. Not only that, but it was flashed up on the TV screen on several different places. Half of the people aren't voting. And a lot of the zealots and the people who tell you got to vote and all this shit, they really believe that all of those people are just apathetic and lazy. So in the same way that the Hillary people are kind of losing their mind and thinking that they're going to win, even though every breeze that blows was blowing Trump, and they really thought they were going to win, I think those people, the ones that think that the people who aren't voting are not the silent majority, are in for a rude awakening. And for the same reason that we trust that capitalism will function, I think that Donald Trump will function better than Hillary. His own ego will insist that this job, above all the other jobs that he's ever had, this job be done right. This job be done above board.
Yeah, but that's...
So you're saying he's a man on a mission, but his mission is perilous?
But
this mission isn't for you or me or anybody else. It's about being president. It's not about serving the people. But he wants to be the president. So unless that hubris goes
did you hear how he researched the whole thing? Did you ever hear how he researched the whole thing? For a whole year, he paid like a team to sit and listen to all of the conservative talk shows across the country and write down like the top 10, top 20 main things that everyone's pissed off about. And he literally just went and ran on that. That's the only thing he ran on.
Okay.
So
that sounds like more research than the DNC has done since before my dad was born.
Exactly.
So
he's treating this like a business transaction.
They don't have a research, or they don't seem to research very well. They seem to have a playbook and a narrative as opposed to.
Donnie's going to find out quick that government isn't a business. He's going to find out very quick. Well, Donnie Trump is.
Yeah, but here's the question: what kind of effect will that have?
Yeah,
because he's already talking about eliminating federal agencies.
Yes.
Now, whether he gets it done or not is one thing.
Well, exactly. But see, that's the thing. Your premise, unfortunately, presupposes that he's actually going to have the ability to do anything about it, that he's actually going to have any control over this job. And that has been my point during this entire election, that it didn't. My reasoning for not caring who won wasn't because I think that both sides are so exactly the same that it literally doesn't matter. No, there's enough differences to keep the illusion of competition and rivalry going. But the main agenda, which is what the deep state has been driving for decades, continues on because the country is not run by the president. The president doesn't have the power. The executive branch has more power than the other ones for the large part, except I guess the Supreme Court does get to throw a little power temper tantrum every once in a while.
It's the lifetime appointments.
But yeah,
take that to the next level. Take that to the next step. Let's go with that premise, right? So Trump necessarily can't get anything done because he doesn't have the power to do it, right? Why do you think the establishment doesn't want him? Because he's feral.
I don't know where anybody's getting that from anymore.
He will slut-shame them.
I want to believe.
Somebody's never been slut shamed.
I want to believe that, but I don't see him coming out and actually saying anything.
Why? What has he not already said?
No, not to say because at that point it would have to be that he can't. Like he's not gonna. They're gonna shut him up at every chance.
They can try, right? But again, it's going to be a give and take.
He's still got to get
power.
He's got to still take the oath, guys.
I'm not saying that this is all a good idea, but I'm saying that for once, you're going to be able to look at the guy who's sitting in the White House, and you're going to be able to at least have a clue about how he's thinking because it's somewhat rational. It's not completely ideological. There will be an onus on him to turn this.
But he has no control to turn anything around. That's the problem, and he can't. Again,
he has leverage. Remember, he is the chief executive. Like
I don't know. See, the Republicans have the House, the Senate, the governors, and they have the presidency. If they don't get something done, then something is wrong.
The Department of Energy and those senators that benefit from the power of controlling that, they will suffer, and he will leverage that. Unlike most of the other people. He will leverage that.
They're not going to let him kill anything.
He'll kill the first one.
They're not going to let him kill anything.
They were created by executive order. He could uncreate them by executive order.
That's right.
Of course he can.
That's right. He will. That's right. But he will. That's how he's going to do it. It's just going to be leverage, man. It's going to be like playing Monopoly, and you're the guy who buys all the houses but refuses to buy hotels, so that nobody else can ever buy anything. You're that guy. That's how Trump plays the game. So I'm just saying, I don't like the fact that it exists. I'm not supporting it in any way, shape, or form. I'm just telling you,
but again,
that guy is crude and shrewd and smart, and it will just be different.
Yeah, but again, this system has been set up this way for a very long time. If you don't think they're prepared for that, because
how much money did George Soros spend on getting Hillary Clinton elected? Not all gamuts win, man.
No. Again, it's not a matter of it winning though, because they don't. Those people like Soros don't have to win every time for the system to continue exactly as is. Because again, it's not.
No, and I agree with you here.
It's the deep state that runs everything. It's the people that have been in these bureaucratic positions that actually wield more power because they get to write their own rules and regulations that get imposed on everybody else that have Not only are there no votes made over it, there's no oversight, almost no oversight whatsoever, and these things just get foisted on us. It's these people that are in power for 20, 30, 40 years. They're the ones who run run everything, and they can just as well outlast somebody like Trump for 4 years. They'll have no issue with
their
that.
position is appointed or whatever.
If he is that much of an issue, he will most definitely be pushed out by the next time.
Great, then he will come and he will be a destroyer in their world, and then they will rid him. But in the meantime, he is a destroyer in their world. You're talking about the deep state the same way Democrats talk about the state. You're attributing these magical powers that have no.
It's not magical powers. It's
them.
not magical powers. It's just
They
the way
don't
things
have control
go.
of everything.
They don't have to have control of everything. They could just threaten him directly. They could threaten him and his family. That's it.
Right, maybe.
Just like the
But
theory
listen,
that gets often floated that they get dragged in the first day.
Trump, you threaten Hillary. And she bows the knee. You threaten Trump? Who knows? He's not all fucking there, man.
Yeah, I don't think.
Agree. That's a good point. He isn't all there.
Well, yeah, but again, I don't think I really don't think they would have let him get as far as he has. Even just to the nomination.
There you are. You're attributing it to them again.
It's not attributing to it.
They were the force.
It's been, dude. That's historically proven. That's just the way it keeps going. There's a reason the GOP and the DNC stuff exist the way it's set. The RNC and the DNC exist because they're so-called private entities. They set these things up.
Then
a rogue billionaire wasn't accountable.
How is he president? Because people hated Hillary that fucking much.
I think Hillary was so forced and contrived.
Of the 50% of people that voted, and supposedly it was like somewhere like 25, whatever that voted for those two idiots.
Yeah.
If even half of the voter fraud shit is through with the DNC, that means most likely at most like what 12, 13 million may have voted for Hillary. Like, people hate that woman so much.
Okay, listen, Jeremy, where's the falsifiability in the deep state runs everything?
It's not that it runs everything. It's just at this point it can outlast somebody like Trump, and they're not going to allow him to blow the whistle.
That's not what I asked.
I did because I never said it was.
Where's the falsifiability for it? That's all I'm saying.
But I never said that it ran everything, so it doesn't fall. So there's no need to falsify it.
No, if it doesn't run everything, then there is leverage. That's all I'm saying. And
but again, I accept your posit.
Yeah, that's fine.
Posit, but you have to realize 80% of the government is not elected. So good luck on Trump.
But that also presupposes that Trump not only is this crazy guy that just be wild enough to pull this, but that he's not more connected than people give him credit for. Jesus Christ, the guy has been on the payroll of both sides doing stuff with, giving money to the government for both sides for things, and is an admitted crony capitalist. Like, he's proud of the fact that he's used the system repeatedly. He is an insider. He was never an outsider. As Lou Fien likes to put it, he's been a politician this entire time. This is just his first time running for office.
I understand. How is it? Then where's this opposition coming from? Like, if everything you're saying is true, then where is the opposition? This cannot be all Clinton hate. It's not like every ballot cast was I hate Hillary ballot.
Oh no. Where did the support for him is what you're asking?
No. Like, why do people want him there if the entire establishment doesn't want him there?
Because they want something to the voters want something different.
Then how did he get there?
Well, how did he get there? He got there because he won. Because the people believed his bullshit, just like everybody else. The thing I've equated him the closest to that I can see is he's essentially the next coming of Reagan at this point.
If he can go around the system in such grand fashion, then the system doesn't have the power you're attributing to it.
If he can, yes. I don't see it happening. I see him rolling out his 100-day plan and nothing getting done, just like Obama did. And everybody going, what the hell? This wartime, this peacetime guy, like all this stuff. They don't get to do the things they want to do. They get to follow what the agenda is. And it's not the party agenda. It's the overall agenda. Because that's why the same things have continued to happen over and over and over again for decades upon decades upon decades upon decades.
Correct.
That's how, between the military industrial complex and all the other like lobby groups that really wield a lot of the power there. Like the Israeli lobby, where a lot of that money keeps getting directed to the Israel over and over and over again.
Israeli companies.
Yes.
But here's the thing, exactly what I was saying earlier. They have to keep the air of legitimacy. They have to. If they lose that, if they was to have completely hoodwinked and forced the Hillary Clinton presidency, it would have destroyed them. They have to prop up that boogeyman. They have to prop up the scarecrow, so to say. The minute we find out it's a scarecrow, they're done. The crows will strip the field clean, so to say.
Just think of the deep state as a self-aware tapeworm. It understands that if he eats too much, it'll kill you.
Oh no, they have to back off.
Than it's
oh
worth.
no, of course they have to back off.
Then they are not all powerful. And
again, I never said they were all powerful.
No, and their plan is they've got a 2,000-year plan, and we've got like a 1 year ahead plan.
I never said they were all. I never said they were all powerful. They control enough of what goes on, and that's where the differences are in the parties that I talked about earlier. That's why those are allowed to exist, because there has to be. Otherwise, even the most brain dead idiot out there would start to go, hey, wait a minute. These two parties really do seem exactly alike. So there has to be there has to be these differences, and there has to be these personalities, and there's not just like one entity that controls it, because there's vying factions of like the people that actually have the money and invested all this stuff. But it's just this same general path gets and enough of the stuff that he wants can get twisted into things that other Republican establishment has tried to push for years. Or the Democrats, for that matter.
He doesn't want anything. What he wants is to go down in history as an American president that wasn't a shit show. So whatever happens to that end, that's going to be the goal, regardless of whether or not it's good or bad. The goal for Donald Trump, the drug deals he's going to make, is that in 4 years, people look at him with respect, the kind of respect that goes in a history book. That's all he wants. So whatever he has to do to get
he conquered everything else.
Care. Exactly. He doesn't care whose head comes off to make that happen. So that is what will be offered up as homage, as sacrifice. That's all. That's the leverage.
It's going to be an interesting few months ahead either way.
You're talking about him playing chicken with the organization that regularly just kills heads of state around the world.
They've already tried to kill.
Well, no, because that's all that has to be done. That has to be countered with. Well, no, you can get the same thing you want. All you have to do is play ball with us. And we'll give you little things here or there that are changes enough that people will respect you, but you're going to continue you're going to continue this main line, or we kill you.
Sure, but honestly,
I see that as a lot more likely scenario.
Right. When was the main line ever the headline? Usually the stuff that's really controlling stuff doesn't make the front page. I mean, what do you think ISIS is doing? There's a good chance that the whole reason ISIS exists is to keep Persian gas in Persia, not having anything to do with Muslims or anything like that. The Iranians are trying to get a pipeline to Eastern markets, and when that petrol money starts leaving America and Europe and headed east instead of remaining here for the money velocity, what are they going to do? They're going to have to inflate to increase velocity, right?
Well, of course. Well,
so there's about 7 different scenarios where inflation becomes a problem.
And then the petrodollar.
What's going to happen?
Retro.
The Saudis have almost $1 trillion in T-bills, but they have other money here. The Saudis are about to get ripped off, and Allah is going to rise again. Because if the Saudis get ripped off for $4 or $5 trillion that they have invested in keeping the dollar and the petrodollar alive, if they get ripped off, it's going to get fucking bad, brother.
Well, yeah, they have to go into full protection mode.
Right, but they can't. There's no protecting. Their wealth is predominantly living in U.S. assets. It's not a matter of they can protect themselves now. It's a matter of they're fucked. The question is what happens as the backlash of they're fucked. Sorry, did I take a hard left there?
Well, yeah, I was just... Well, I'm not...
So I'm just saying the headline is usually what catches people's eye. So as long as Donald Trump is in the happy headline, whatever goes on behind the scenes, he doesn't care.
Well, no, I know, and what that kind of goes to my point, though. That's why I don't think he's going to be as big of a stick in the mud to mess with them as you seem to think he is. I don't think he's going to push back that hard. I think he'll be just as easily swayed by them telling him, well, we can make what you, if that is his ultimate goal, the way you're describing it, and based on what he presents to the public, based on what I know of the guy over the, I've known about him since the mid 80s, I guess I first came across him, of what I know of the guy, that fits. So I could buy that. If that really is the case, I see him being, because of the type of businessman I always thought he was, and then his admission about how he's used the system a bunch of times legally, of course, to any of the conservatives who get pissed off when I say that. It's just not. That's not the point. He still made use of a system that's bullshit to begin with, and the whole corporate structure and shit. So it's not exactly legitimate in my view. So the fact that he's already proven he's proven to do that, I think he'd be much more willing, because it's a lot easier. It's a lot less, even if they don't overtly come out and threaten him. If he's anywhere as smart as he pretends to be, he has to understand the history and what goes on and the threat that would face him if he did just start pointing out names everywhere and going, well, this is going on, and I tried to do this and they're just not letting me. And all the way he's talked on the campaign trail and the tough talk. And like I said, he didn't have to say something. He didn't even have to say something nice about Hillary at all. But to come out and say that she was did he say she was a great woman or something, or she did? He praised her a little too heavily in that.
Yeah,
after her
what? I
speech.
think we're passing each other. I think we're passing each other here over the definition of what is a hard hitting cut, a hard hitting blow to the. I'm not talking about everything really changing. I'm saying some of the things that Trump promised will come to pass because he's going to need that for his overall end game. So the system will have to say, okay, we could take a pretty heavy body blow, so go ahead and hit us in the body, and then we could take one on the nose, the light, so don't hit too hard, and then and they work with each other. He's already sold out. That's cool. I mean, I don't expect anything less. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I think the Republicans are going to get some of the things that they wanted, and the Democrats aren't going to get some of the things they have coming, and I think that's going to turn into, hey, Trump wasn't such a bad guy, and that's it. And that's it.
Well, yeah. Well, that and again, that's actually something I'm afraid of, and it's for that reason, because anybody who supported him and started leaning in the other direction, going, well, this is I'm about to give up, or they already had the people that pushed anarchists they know that pushed other people that were going to vote for Trump because it's just a better option. Well, yeah, any win in the political arena is a bad thing for the most part. If a win for them rather is a bad thing for us because it reinforces to anybody who agrees with it. It reinforces that the system works and they can get what they want by using the system, and it just encourages them to do it more. Well,
if it makes you feel better, the system is on a mathematical decay, so just be patient.
It can't last.
No, again, well, it can outlast me. That's still within. Yeah, it can.
No, it can't.
Especially if you keep smoking.
No, it can't.
Sure.
Come on, man. Put down the cigarettes, okay?
No way, brother. Let me ask you this: do you think Jim Rickards and Milton Friedman and David Friedman and Peter Schiff, and I could go down a list of a couple of more, but my point is, do you think all of these people who have looked the world in the face and said, listen, we kind of did the math, this is ticking down to zero, this is regressing down to zero, do you think they're all wrong?
Oh, no. I do expect to see the collapse of the dollar in my lifetime. I don't expect to see the system to go along with it because enough people are not ready. Too many people will still clamor for something to replace it immediately.
Is it possible that the system's revenge will be to dump the economic collapse on Trump? Is it possible? We'll see.
That's the question I want to get in. Do you guys want to make a bold prediction before we wrap this up? Will they pop the dollar bubble before or after Trump takes the oath?
I think they will pop it when it best suits them, and I don't think you have to really kind of understand
solid non-answer.
where they want to
Jeremy.
go.
Well, no, that I don't really I honestly don't know. I don't think they're ready to do it yet. Like I said, if something happens along the lines of what Donnie was talking about Trump kind of,
I say it's first quarter
speaking
after.
up. No, I don't think they're ready to collapse it just yet. That's the point. We talked about this last week, or the 2 weeks ago, where you said they could collapse it whenever they want. Sure, they absolutely could.
Right.
I don't think they're ready to.
Hopefuls.
Yeah, they're not
They're
gonna.
professionals, not hopefuls. They are going to collapse it when they recognize that they can no longer sustain it. They're not going to do it a minute before. Period.
Yeah, they'll do exactly.
So you can't tell when. You can't tell when because you don't know what their specific end game is. They don't know when they know.
You know, that's why it's called a
they,
bold prediction.
No, that's blind luck at best.
Well, yeah.
Blind luck.
Yeah,
So,
I don't. Yeah, I don't.
Waking up every morning is blind luck, man.
Well,
I mean, if the Saudis unpeg the real for the dollar, that would be a huge problem. If China decided to back the yuan with gold, that would be a huge problem. Of course, there's tons of people that would argue against every single one of these things, right? But at the end of the day, one of them happens. Even though all of them are a low or unlikely event, one of them happens. It's like an earthquake. You know, you don't know where it's going to happen. You don't know when it's going to happen. It's just kind of going to happen. And will it be big? Will it be small? Don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, interesting.
All right. Well.
I think they do it sometime after, but that's just my guess.
But it's going to be entertaining.
The record books.
It's going to be entertaining. The memes alone for the next couple of years.
I agree with you. I said that all along. I thought
especially if Trump goes balding.
Well, I thought Trump was going to be. I thought a Trump presidency would be funnier for those purposes anyway. Only because the Hillary memes and stuff have been done for so long. Because she's been around for so long, and I mean, they're still funny, but there's a lot of repetition there. Trump, on the other hand,
it's just the level of evil.
He's been around for a long time, but he hasn't been like the focus of a lot of that type of abuse until he started running. So it's a whole new world, and him in that position, like you said. If he does become somewhat of a loose cannon, if they can't keep him quiet all the time and he says certain things. He could rival George Bush as far as like quotable moments, I
don't know.
So
I don't. Well, I mean,
or Roosevelt.
Yeah, but here's the thing:
Penny.
if you look at the Bush presidency, they kind of got exactly what they wanted. It was all structured and planned. So even though whether George is a nitwit, nobody really knows. I don't know him. You don't know him. We don't know if he's messed up. But you can tell that Trump is a ball buster, so you might never know if he's telling the truth, but I don't think he's ever going to be
Don, you're going to tell me that George Bush, the same George Bush that went to Yale, worked his ass off and got to Yale, isn't smart? Well,
we won't get fooled again. We won't get fooled again.
Oh, me. Well.
All right. On that note.
It seems like we did get fooled again. Everyone voted. Well, not everyone.
Well, no.
Not everyone. Half. One out of
two. It's trending towards a good.
One out of two. That's pretty good.
Well, if there's an equally crappy turnout like for the next set of senators races would be crazy because the DNC will be freaking out and trying to put anybody back in power they can, so they'll be dumping all their resources. So,
brother, I don't know if the DNC survives this.
Oh.
I mean, said that last
those
night.
Who go to jail and those who don't want to go to jail. I mean, you got to remember, some of those people, they're not on that list I was talking about before, who they're going to get paid to go to jail. Oh, some dimes the size of a sewer lid may get dropped.
Yeah, but
that whole thing is chaos theory, just walking around. We'll see.
Oh, sure, but to me, the likely scenario.
You just open it up.
Yeah, but to me, the likely scenario is that they too will throw as many people under the bus as they need to, because that's an institution that's been around for quite a long time, and they need that unless something comes up to replace it right away, they need that for the legitimacy that Dave was talking about before.
Maybe Bernie can save it. Maybe Bernie.
I don't know. There could be.
I think he's retiring.
To be the DNC chair.
Ooh.
There you go.
Tiring. Come on.
No, him being a shill the whole time.
All right.
Him being a shill the whole time.
This is opening up another wormhole that I do not want to climb into at the moment. So
we'll have to have Donnie on again and talk about Bernie and all that.
I think on that note we should get wrapping up. But before we get going, Donnie, it was great talking to you again, man. I always do appreciate your insight. And do you have anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, I miss you guys. I've just been really busy. I've been in school and the kids, and a lot of inward reflection, starting to get to that next level of figuring out how the left thinks. And it's really
Did
really
you say
curious.
inward or inward?
Inward, in self-reflection.
confused.
It's been interesting. I kind of do Facebook, but I haven't done much else other than schoolwork and kids and Facebook. So I'm
Gotcha.
just
Well,
poking it around.
you, when you do have time, you always know where you can find me. But
I know, naked in the shower.
yeah, pretty much. Hey, if I could do my shows, if I could do all my shows from there, I might try that. Although I'd probably prefer to be on my couch.
You gotta have a water filter for your shower, Gary, if you're gonna be in there that long.
Thanks, Alex. I'll keep that. I'll keep that in
That
consideration.
was Dave, buddy. That was just butter.
Yeah.
That was butter.
I know, bud.
Good stuff.
I know. My girlfriend
That was
hates me.
good.
I talk like Alex Jones all the time.
I can imagine how that would get annoying after a while. It's
It sounded
funny
like
when you
Alex
come out
Jones
with it.
doing a Jesse Ventura impression. It was really spectacular.
Well, yeah.
Listen, I can do Jesse the Body Ventura any day I want, okay? Jesse and Alex don't sound anything alike. I was the governor of Minnesota.
You're losing it on the bottom end of that. You got to work on that a little bit.
Yeah, you gotta get real low. I was the body. Yeah, it's a hard one.
Yeah. No, you're usually better at it. But anyway, so Dave, do you want to say anything
Kinda
before we get
science-y.
going?
Well, the only thing I want to say is thank you so much for coming on, Donnie Gebert. You're the man with the plan. Keep on keeping on, and would love to have you on more, man. Just
You
whenever
guys got to
want.
try kratom. It's pretty interesting. It's not like weed.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're freaking
what's-
out about it, but I don't know. It's kind of it's not bad. It kind of helps clear your thought up a little bit. It's pretty cool.
I keep meaning to message Luis and get a hold of some.
You got anything for shoulder pain that doesn't get you addicted and then spiral you into a death hole of opium?
Manning up.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna try that then.
Yeah. All right. Report back next week. Report back next week.
I'm gonna
Dave.
try to man up. I'll
Beard
report
harder,
next week.
Dave. Beard harder, Dave.
All right. Well, on that note, this has been the Seeds of Liberty podcast.
Gentlemen.
All of our information can be found at theseedsofliberty.com, where we will have a new website one of these days. Dave promises. And we will catch you next time. Peace.
Reading enemies is just enables you to see it too. Menial. Recently reading into the thesis, yeah. Mirroring the people who completely fail to see it though. Seeing is believing, yes, the reason is appealing most. Reading enemies is just enables you to see it too.
Now that you put it that way, I have the answer to that question. It's projection. That's what it is. It's not a cop-out to call us utopians. They're actually projecting their own self-hatred onto us.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com. Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to bipcot.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.